How's it going, Giants fans? My name is Alex. Welcome to Fireside Giants. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe below. Today, we're going to discuss Golden Tate kind of giving his perspective on Daniel Jones, quarterback of the New York Football Giants, and kind of essentially why the Giants have mismanaged the quarterback position, specifically DJ. And I wanted to give my perspective into that as well. Of course, Daniel Jones being the most polarizing player up to this point of the last 3 years, entering his fourth year in the NFL, and the Giants have already rejected his fifth-year option on his rookie deal. So essentially, this is his make-or-break season. This is his opportunity to step up, really put together a good 2022 campaign, and hopefully prove to everybody that he's worthy of an extension and can be a franchise-caliber quarterback. Of course, his statistics have kind of fallen off the last 3 years consecutively. Started off his career in 2019, 22 years old, just a baby, 3,027 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He gained a lot of muscle mass. He's a pretty big dude now, but that 24 touchdowns quickly dropped to 11 in 2020 and then to 10 last year under Jason Garrett's leadership. Now, as we all know, Jason Garrett is public enemy number one for the New York Giants, and I honestly believe that he was probably the biggest factor in holding back Daniel Jones. Because he directly impacted this offensive line, right? He brought Mark Colombo here, who did a terrible job. He did get Andrew Thomas drafted. I mean, he helped, Dave Gettleman, obviously, and Joe Judge get Andrew Thomas with the fourth overall pick back in 2020. But, it was a little bit too little too late. They did not address the other spots properly. They really had a little bit more confidence in a group that a lot of us kind of pointed out that did not look so solid. But Daniel Jones is the catalyst behind making it all work and flow. And he's tried to pick up the pieces and tried to kind of supplement the lack of leadership and the lack of production from other playmakers. A lot of injuries. I remember seeing during Giants games, they'd put on the screen how many guys were injured. And it was like Kenny Galladay's out, Saquon's out, Kadarius Toney's out, the backup running back is out. Our tight ends are out, or they can't catch. And then like half our offensive line is out. Left guard is basically, we just picked up a homeless guy on 71st and 1st and threw him into the game. This is essentially what the Giants team has been made of the last couple of seasons, just injuries and inefficiency and Jason Garrett's scheme to top it all off, cherry on top, running all of your guys into the same spot. At the very least, just have them run like different routes. Don't have them all be running curl routes or have them all be running slants into the middle of the field. It just makes no logical sense. And Golden Tate kind of points this out. He goes on to say in an interview with NJ.com, Andy Vasquez, he says, I honestly feel bad for Daniel. He was drafted into a rebuilding organization for one, had Pat Shurmur for a year, and then got Joe Judge for 2 years. Now another head coach and another rebuild going into his fourth season. He hasn't had Saquon Barkley, myself, Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard. No one is ever on the field at the same time. And then on top of that, he had Jason Garrett as his offensive coordinator, and that probably didn't help much, which is absolutely freaking hilarious that he literally is like, he didn't have Jason Garrett, and that probably didn't help. So pretty funny, ex-wide receiver, pretty good one at that. Definitely a little bit of an overpay. I think Golden Tate got a lot of hate because we essentially tried to replace Odell Beckham Jr. with him. And it was never going to be that easy, right? Like if we just got Golden Tate, and he was like an added bonus to OBJ, and he was on top of OBJ, on top of Saquon Barkley, on top of some of these playmakers, then we're like, okay, Golden Tate's a great receiver to have in the mix, but like they replaced our best wide receiver that we've had in years. Maybe like in the last couple decades, I could argue Plaxico is better. You could have that argument, but when it replaced OBJ with Golden Tate, like that was never going to be a good move. And like we were still paying him last year not to be on the team. So now everyone seems to be healthy. Brian Dable, Joe Shane are really taking a more conservative approach with managing and mitigating injuries and further maybe aggravating them, right? Like you saw Aaron Robinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay, all wearing red jerseys during voluntary and involuntary workouts, because mitigating those injury issues is like part of the process of having a legitimate team, like instead of consequences and all of these crazy things. I think at the end of the day, it's really good that they're kind of taking a more conservative and patient approach with these injuries and making sure that they're 100%. And then, just on top of it, like you have Daniel Jones, who's been injured as well. He missed, 6 games last year. He got knocked out against the Philadelphia Eagles with a neck injury. And, Golden Tate went on to say, so you kind of feel bad for him because of a ton of talent. He has a lot of talent, but he just hasn't had much help due to injuries and how they set it up. Which is definitely true. And this new offensive system with Dable and Mike Kafka, obviously coming from two unbelievable units with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. And is Daniel Jones either of those guys? Absolutely not. But we still have good playmakers, and you can get a lot of manufactured production out of guys just getting the football in their hands, having blockers out in front, and letting them do the work. Like Kadarius Toney with blockers out in front, goodness gracious. We saw what he could do without blockers in front. You put blockers in front of Kadarius Toney, a healthy Kadarius Toney at that. He's a wide receiver 1 in this league. He could be a legitimate all-pro level player if everything comes together and he ends up becoming that like the best version of himself. But Golden Tate said something that I do really agree with. He said, I'm looking forward to just letting him loose. Just let him go out there and play ball. He's a smart guy. He's going to make good decisions, but you've got to set him up to be successful. And I'm just hoping that those guys really rally, because this is the one thing I know about DJ. He's going to be prepared. He's going to be prepared. He's going to follow what you want him to do, but let him play ball too. Let him play ball, get the ball to your playmakers, and let things go. Some of the best moments that Daniel Jones had the last couple seasons was off script. The play broke down. There was an offside, and he had an opportunity to throw the ball downfield. I think that those were some of his best moments at the end of the day. So hopefully Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, give him more creativity. He likes to be in control. This is what Daboll said recently. He was like, or it might have been Kafka. He said, Daniel Jones likes to be in control. He likes to have information at the line of scrimmage. He likes to be able to call audibles if need be. Like, this is all news to us. Like, because with Jason Garrett, he was not given that much freedom to do things on his own. He was not given the freedom to make a lot of audibles. He was not given the freedom to not be a robot, right? Like, he was really just kind of held back a lot. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see what the Giants do here with Daniel Jones. Let it fly, get creative, get flexible with him, and just let him ball, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, what do you have to lose? If you hold him down and strap him down like the Giants have been doing the last couple seasons, you're going to see another average, below average version of Daniel Jones. But if you want to see the best version of him, let him sling the rock downfield. Let him take risks. Let him take calculated risks. Make those plays in practice. Let it translate to the actual game in 2022. And, we have one of the easiest schedules in football. If there's any time for DJ to put it on the field and show that progress and development, it's right now, guys. But I'd love to hear your perspectives on Daniel Jones, what Golden Tate had to say about him. Definitely interesting. Of course, we're kind of in a dead portion of the season here, so a lot of interesting quotes and stuff coming out from players and that are no longer on the Giants. But I do agree with Golden Tate in this scenario that I do believe Daniel Jones should be given that freedom to really unload the rock and take advantage of the freedom and creativity of a more modernized offense. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe as always, my friends. We'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.